Academy Sports and Outdoors starts right now, and that's a Rockets win that we'll be breaking down today. 94-87 was the final from Toyota Center. The Rockets improving to 33-20 on their season. Not the prettiest game of the season, that's for sure. We dealt with the Rockets. Saw a lot of things that weren't so positives. That offense couldn't really get that going, not really finding a groove. We saw an injury to Alperen Şengün that we hope to talk about here shortly, get an update on him. But the fourth quarter, the Rockets came just in time. Threes started to fall. They showed some life, and then there was Jeff Green. That was fun, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. That's where we're going to start with what Jeff Green was able to bring to the table. They needed somebody to bring some energy today, Calvin Murphy and Uncle Jeff.
Well, let me tell the Rocket fans about professionalism. Anytime you get a player that hasn't gotten a lot of minutes as the season has been progressing, but can come in one of the biggest games of the year for the Rockets and have the kind of game he had, is all about mental readiness and professionalism, knowing your job. And that all begins off the court in practice and staying ready for when your number's called. And this is exactly what he did. He played 19 minutes, had 14 points and 5 rebounds in 19 minutes. And he played the important minutes. That's when the game was changed.
Yeah, it was changed when he was in there. There was just the life of this team all of a sudden showed up. This whole place woke up, and he was a big part of that, knowing this team loves watching Jeff Green. So it was fun. It was fun to see that. But his 14 points, like you said, it was also a milestone of a career game, 1,200 for him. It was his daughter's birthday yesterday. All good. But, man, they got that streak snapped, and
it was the Green Boys that did it. Jalen Green came to the party in the fourth quarter. Also ended up with 18 points. Hit a couple of big daggers going down the stretch when Toronto tried to fight back into the game.
Let's bring in Ryan Hollins now. I know you loved what you saw from Jeff Green and really some others there in the fourth quarter.
Listen, hats off to the Stay Ready crew. Jock Landale ends up with a double-double. Yes. Jeff Green was excellent, Murph. And Murph, listen, you didn't play that role. I played that role. It is extremely hard for those guys to sit game after game. They're not in, and the biggest thing is you don't have rhythm. So the experience from Jeff and Jock to be able to come in and find their rhythm, and this was a tough game. This was less than a 24-hour turnaround. You can say it was close, but our guys are fatigued. They're tired. Those legs are heavy. Sometimes your mind is all over the place, but hats off to those guys for coming up and you just get a win. At this time of year, any way that you can win, you go ahead and scrap it out, and our guys did.
Well, what about Udoka trusting them to put them in the important minutes of the game, knowing that they hadn't played a lot, but trusting them to go out there and change the tempo of the game and perhaps, what they did, get the Rockets into a lead?
Hey, Murph, you know this. Here's the thing about Jeff and Ime. When it gets down to it, when it's in the thick of it, he will trust Jeff Green in any circumstance. He did play a whole lot more last year, obviously, with Steven Adams and the emergence of Alperen Şengün. They've taken Jeff minutes away. But whenever the Rockets are on a crunch, do not be surprised. And we saw a couple games ago, Jeff got thrown in, and he started at halftime. And he started another game. So Coach Udoka is starting to kind of shake the cobwebs off Jeff Green, but I played with Jeff, and the one thing I know about him, he's going to stay ready, and he was ready here tonight.
Not only did his offensive come to the forefront, but what about the fact that the Rockets only shot 36% for the game and 24 from behind the arc, but their defense, led by Jeff, getting the Rockets back into the game?
Murph, that was everything. That was everything. And, we know it. We don't have the sexiest crew offensively. They know that they're not going to come out and just fire up the ball from three. Yes, they can get hot, but Coach Udoka's made it clear. And while the Rockets are fifth in the West, and the position that they stand in is because they get it done on the defensive end of the floor. And that's where things started and got going. That little run in the first half, that little 12-0 run came from the defense end. In the second half, the three ball was rolling, but the Rockets started to get stops. And that's what you had to see game in and game out.
One of my keys to the game tonight was about controlling the glass, and the Rockets did a great job on that. They were, I think, a +10 because they got 23 points in the fast break.
Yeah, Murph, and you know what? Let's just call it for what it is. This team is not going to be the best in executing in the half court right now. So what, like you said, they got to get out and transition. And again, you got athletes, man. You got Jalen Green, you got Cam Whitmore, Jeff Green can still fly. So when you run, those opportunities will be there. And also, Murph, I don't know if you saw this, 13 turnovers in the first half. They really minimized that, and you can assume that was a point of emphasis, just taking care of the ball. And without Fred there, you know, that responsibility goes on everybody. I'm sure, listen, they couldn't replace Calvin Murphy on the floor. You know, Fred VanVleet goes out, there's no replacing, but I thought the group did a good job of taking care of the ball, and that's vital in wins.
You know, that's important that you mentioned going down the last 3 minutes of the game, that they played smarter basketball tonight. They did take care of the ball. They spread the floor. They moved the ball. You know, I get excited when I see one more pass.
Yes.
And everybody is being very careful not to try to do too much outside their game, which the Rockets did not do tonight, and consequently end up with the win.
And Murph, here's the thing that I do want to see from the Rockets, and they're going to see this on film. Offensively, yeah, you can say there's struggles, but they're taking so long to get in the set. They're looking around. Sometimes guys are just holding the ball. So you're spot on as far as moving the basketball, doing that. And Murph, let me ask you something. If you're Coach Udoka and staff, and I know you're similar to Fred, you're the leader on every team you're in, you know, what's the key for those guys to, obviously, we know that you can't replace Fred, but how do you get down the stretch until after the All-Star break when he gets back?
Well, first of all, they got to keep trusting one another. And they've got to decide when they're on the floor with the combination who's going to be the leader out there at that particular time. And that's going to solve them from causing themselves a lot of heartaches with turnovers and mistakes.
Yeah, you're right. And, you know, Jalen Green had spurts. Reed Shepherd stepped up. Aaron Holiday got the start. And you're right. It's just for those guys to say, I'm not going to be Fred VanVleet, but we're not going to turn the basketball over. We're going to get good looks.
Yeah, don't forget now, Mr. Whitmore came up with some big plays tonight down that stretch himself.
He did. And you know what, man, I'm telling you, I know the Rockets hadn't been winning of late until tonight. Cam Whitmore's been playing some good basketball, man. I think he's been playing within himself. I saw him come down the court, Murph, and you know, he gets that look in his eye. He was going to fire up a shot, and he said, nah, let me move it. Let it come back around to me. And he's really focusing on the defensive end. I like the way Cam Whitmore's playing within himself.
Yeah, good stuff, Ryan. I know you've been grinding yourself, so take a couple of days off. Thanks for the time.
Appreciate you guys.
Right.
I like that suit, by the way.
You didn't have to show me up, okay? And Julia, by the way, we saw your basketball photo. I didn't know you had some game back in the day. We saw the basketball photo on the broadcast.
Just a little game, not a lot of game, but yeah, just a little bit. Oh my God, you're the best. You're the best. Thanks, Ryan. Oh, good stuff there. Hey, I love when you guys get going and get each other going and talking about important stuff. I mean, this is a group that's they've been through a lot here the last 6 losses for them. You know, this is a team that was getting real comfortable and real used to winning and then got tripped up a little bit. So hopefully I know you're wanting for them to learn from all that.
Absolutely. You know, the one thing they're going to learn that when they went through that spell right there of losing 6 games, everybody is accustomed to being the man at some time or another. So what happened was they got outside of what they normally do collectively, and everybody tried to be the hero. And with that happening, they kind of strayed away from what they were doing well when they were winning. But tonight, nobody tried to go outside their game. Everybody, especially in the fourth quarter, decided that now we got to do this thing together. They shared the ball. They started thinking a little more. They spread the floor, gave everybody the respect when they passed the ball to be able to do their individual thing.
Yeah. You know, Ime is going to tell us like it is, but also hopefully we get an update on Alperen Şengün, who left in the first quarter of this game. Let's send you there now.
What are your emotions after, finally getting a win, but also the way you guys played in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, they all count, and sometimes they're ugly, and have to fight your way out through some adversity and injuries and lineup things like that, and to have Alpy go out early and, kind of be in mud for the first half offensively specifically. We guarded well enough all night, and if you're only going to score 94, it's good to hold somebody 87. So much better in the second half in general. Quickly had 18 and only had 2 in the second half. Barnes 15 on 19 shots, and we flipped the turnovers and assists in the second half, where we had 7 assists and 13 turnovers first half. We had 10 assists and only 2 turnovers second half. So good to have a 36-point quarter and made some threes finally.
Do you have an update on Alpy?
Things are spasms, so got a few days off. Hopefully he'll be good to go next game.
Today is Jeff Green's 1,200th career game, 18 years in the league. How impressed are you with the fact that he's able to still do this and make an impact on days where you really need him to? 1,200th career game.
Yeah, impressive, very impressive. Obviously, not just the fact that he's playing, because there are some older guys who are mentors and not getting that involved. And obviously, he hasn't played as much as last year, but has contributed when needed this year. Started at times, and obviously gave us a nice boost tonight. But not just the fact that he's playing; he's still flying around and jumping and moving the way he does. Impressive.
How important was it for you guys to win today? Any way that you could, you said it wasn't pretty, but to get it done, how big was that just to end the streak? And
it is. I mean, in the adversity that, when someone goes out early in the game, it obviously sets you back a little bit. So it's not like going into the game, we know we're without Alpy or whatever, and we can adjust and do some things there. So it takes you a minute, and you have to tweak the lineups a little bit. So to figure that out and, played through some different guys, but have a really good team effort, and the bench was excellent, obviously. Yeah, it's great. You want to end the streak at all costs, and like I said, rather win them ugly than lose them pretty.
How about the turnovers? Did you feel like you were able to generate better shots in the second half, I guess, especially in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I mean, they were really up high, pressuring up high, and we got downhill quite a bit. But I think we got some really good looks in the first half, and, when you 3 for 19 at some point, 5 for 29 at some point, and they're not all bad looks, and so we got some decent looks from 3, and like I said, just made them in the second half. But it was some good penetration from Jalen and Amen, getting downhill with the pressure they were applying, and then some side-to-side movement where when we did get into the paint, kickouts were there, and we made the right plays. So good rim reads tonight, and led to some open shots that we finally knocked down.
Amen and Jalen weren't taking as many shots in the first half. Was that the result of anything the Raptors were doing defensively?
They were being extremely aggressive with them, picking them up. Trapped a little bit. When Grady Dick was on some guys, they sent extra help with those two specifically, and so they wanted to make others beat us, and it was working with all the misses we had, but we didn't crash the glass well. Only had 6. Only finished the game with 10, so that's a low number for us. And then weren't converting in transition early on, and we did better in the second half and got to the line a few times. So overall, really good second half, and scoring 36 in the fourth quarter. Like I said, it's been a while.
When the hand shots are going in, do you ever see him lose confidence to where he'll pass up good looks?
Yeah. I don't think he passes them up. If they're going in or not, he takes the shots he takes, and I don't really ever think he loses confidence either. But want him to stay engaged in the all-around game. Just when shots aren't falling, it's not the only way to impact the game. And so you still have to guard, still have to make the right read and not force shots just because you missed a few. He had some good kickouts today and got downhill and got to the free throw line and all those things. So as always, if you're not relying on shots to make an impact on the game, and he's been better at that lately.
When you first took over as the Rockets coach, did you want to have players like Aaron Holiday or Jock Landale that even if they're not playing for a few weeks, they come in and contribute when you do need them, when you do have injuries?
Yeah, I think it's crucial for a team to have those vets who've kind of been around, but stay hungry, stay ready, and great when they're called upon. And you saw that a ton last year where Aaron finished games at times, and when Alpy went down late in the year, Jock stepped in and played well. So, Jeff, obviously, like we said, Jay Sean hadn't played a ton earlier this year, and now he's playing with Tari being in and out and Jabari being injured. And so, it's really good to have the right vets to allow your young guys to grow, and the guys that are non-starters, are always available and ready to play, and that's where we targeted certain guys who have played both roles, played the third guard spot, played the backup, and are pretty much ready at every chance that they're called upon. And so, been big for us in these 2 years, and obviously tonight, and with all these injuries right now, it's huge for us as well.
In a game where you don't have Steven, would you ever consider pairing Alpy with Jeff or with Jock to kind of try something like that double big situation?
Yeah, I mean, we started and played Alpy and Jeff a ton together. Jeff has started at the 4 this year. We talked about Jock and Alpy today before Alpy went out early, and so something we thought about, and with the success we had last night, I think they had some guys out there we could have done it with. Barnes, don't love either on Barnes, and so that was more of the question to who we're going to have on Barnes. And Bowen Mogbo and Orlando Robinson played late. That would have been something we could have done, but obviously Alpy was out.
Alpy with the back, is that something that's been lingering with him, or is that just something that happened today?
Yeah, I haven't heard about the back. I know he had the other issues, and maybe a little tightness at some point that everybody's going through, but the spasm obviously took him out of the game today.
Well, Jalen, we saw him with a pretty big wrap on his leg on the bench. Is that something he's been dealing with kind of just throughout the season, or is that like a newer injury?
He's had quite a few contusions this year, and so he's played through them all, hasn't missed any games, and like we said, we commend him for playing through a lot, being tired, and hasn't missed a game since I've been here. And like I said, some guys sit out with certain things and pain and stiffness, and Jalen's not one of them. He's played through everything, and so that's what those are. He's had quite a few, and I talk to medical all the time, and they say he's playing through certain things, but get him loose enough and he's good to go. So credit to him on his 23rd birthday.
Thanks, Coach.
Eagles or Chiefs? Eagles or Chiefs?
Hopefully Eagles.
Got to get that in there. Rockets defeat the Raptors here at home. 94-87 was the final. We're going to take a break on Rockets post game. Stay put, though. We'll be right back.